This conference will now be recorded.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Will the clerk please call roll?
Bullock.
Here.
Everhart.
Here.
Millet.
Here.
Ritter.
Here.
Adcock.
Here.
Mayor.
Thank you. Item 4 on the agenda is consent agenda approval of minutes from May 26, 2026. Approval of statement of bills paid, $4,013,977.81.
Madam Mayor, if there's no questions or comments, I make a motion to approve consent agenda items 4A and B.
Second. A motion from Councilman Shriver, a second from Councilman Adcox. Will the clerk please call roll?
Everhart.
Yes.
Millet.
Yes.
Ritter.
Yes.
Adcock.
Yes.
Bullock.
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Item number 5, requests or comments from the public. Just a reminder to start with your name and address. You will have 3 minutes. When your time is winding down, I'll give you a friendly signal to wrap it up.
I think I can do it in 3 minutes. My name's Dave Johnson, 1205 South 102nd Terrace, Edwardsville, Kansas. And so I'm here to bring up, to raise an issue with erosion going through my backyard from the drainage ditch that's Edge Hill subdivision. All the streets basically drain through Mike and Hamilton's properties. So I've got pictures of it. Ryan Hutchison stopped in and looked at it, and he was going to do some investigation on it and stuff to see what could be done or what couldn't be done. And so basically you go through the Edge Hill subdivision, and there's no drains. It just free flows down to my property, all the roads in the Edge Hill subdivision. When Castle Lake was built in the 80s, the road Edge Hill comes down that hill, drains into drains and underflows through 104th Street and goes through everybody's backyard, private property. So there's been an erosion issue going on for decades. So the single drain pipe that's the little hump that's over by Mike's house, it's undersized, and we have flooding going across the road. It's not good, and and it goes through my backyard, and so I'm asking the city to consider putting more rock in that ditch to get the erosion stopped before I have to do something about it. I mean, I don't feel like I should have to be doing something about it. When Edge Hill was built, the city approved streets to be running through private property like mine. And so it's just been a long-standing erosion problem that I've got pictures over the last 30 years that I can send y'all. No problem there. And so in my opinion, the whole infrastructure of the drainage in Edge Hill needs to be like rebuilt, you know, because it was just before 435 was built. I'm getting there, huh? Before 435 was built, there was nothing going on. I mean, everybody's glad to have a house built, you know, but now if you drive through Edge Hill subdivision, it's just not good. And so I'm just asking the city council's consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Any other comments tonight? There being none, we'll move on to item number 6. Okay. Thank you. Item number 6 is a presentation from At-Large District 2 Commissioner Andrew Kump.
No word from him, and of course not here. So do we want to just move this down
And in case he comes late.
I think that would be okay. We'll just skip it, and then if he comes in, we'll add it back in. Item number 7, City Council to consider granting economic development incentives to Project Bush.
Mayor, thank you, council. You'll hear from Mr. Doug Gerber on this project.
Everybody, good evening. As we discussed at your last meeting, we have a project located on 1131, 11301, and 1131 Hog Drive. We've had a developer approach us that would like to do a estimated $14 million capital project to construct some flex space. I'm going to go over the financials with you very briefly, and then Matt Hendrickson is here. He's one of the principals, and he will. He's got some pretty pictures to show you, and he'll talk to us. As we talked about last time, per policy, they have requested a 65% net abatement. So, excuse me, a 65% abatement, and ultimately be a 50% net abatement of property taxes, and then an IRB tax exemption on construction materials. So there's exemption on the sales tax for construction materials. The developer has agreed to do an annual payment, community development payment to the city of $26,000 in phase 1 and phase 2 of the project. The project pays, even with those taxes abated, the project will pay $280,000 in property taxes over the 10 years, which the other portions are abated. We believe there will be sales tax generated, but it's practically impossible to quantify at this point, not like exactly the tenants that will be there. And then I would reiterate that the current property tax collected on the property is $400. So it's a great project and good to work with, and I think it's a financial win for the city. With that, I'll ask Matt to come up and visit with you with this one.
Awesome. Mayor, councilmen and women, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate any questions that you've had since our last visit. Just wanted to highlight one request from our last meeting was a site plan that you could review. And so as you'll see on the screens here, we have 6 buildings spanning across a roughly 10-acre site that are facing Caw Drive. Those buildings have storefront emphasis with front-loaded parking to allow for a variety of uses. The small bay warehouse concept is, like discussed last meeting, captures a broad tenant base. And our other 2 locations, we have sales tax generating businesses at both locations, as well as, contractor, plumbing, electrician, office type spaces as well. So there's a wide variety of spaces. Is this my controller or do you control it? Okay. If you keep scrolling through, you'll see some imaging and renders of what the fronts of these buildings will look like. I'd go to the last page. It's the most, yeah, there you go. I'd say the best render of what we're trying to accomplish. So, as discussed last meeting, there's several components of this particular parcel that have offsite improvements required to make this parcel function. And so from KDOT improvements to sanitary sewer improvements, a parcel that needs some work, and we appreciate your guys' back and forth as we've conversed about, those improvements needed. So that's really all I had. Wanted to share that site plan with you. Happy to answer any further questions you have. Ultimately, we feel that this is a low impact opportunity for us to influence your community. We want to leave this parcel better than we found it, and the city better than it is already in whatever small way we can contribute. And so, the tenant base here, I think, will be a contributor to your overall economics here and the commerce that you already have here in Edwardsville. So happy to answer any questions that you have.
Good looking project. I appreciate the project. I have a question on when you're talking about the sales tax abatement on materials for building it. Is that, I'm understanding you won't have to pay tax on construction materials that come in?
That's correct. That's typical with IRB projects, and for our policies, That's typically what we
I
are.
think that's what we had approved on the failed Hollywood Hotel. How much would that actually cost Edwardsville? Because most of those materials probably wouldn't be bought in Edwardsville. So is it kind of null and void?
I cannot tell you off the top of my head what materials, what the sales tax might be. Perhaps.
I could give you a rule of thumb on how we would kind of calculate that impact. But to answer your question specifically, you know, most material we procure for this project is not from places of locations here in the city of Edwardsville, right? So I'm not sure I fully understand how all that money trickles down, to be totally transparent, but, you know, roughly 40%, if we're talking big numbers, of a $14 million project could be contributed to material, of which let's call it 10% is the sales tax. So there's probably, I think, $500,000 to $600,000 net benefit, if in broad numbers. Yeah.
But then it wouldn't necessarily be money that Edwardsville would be losing because you wouldn't be buying the products here.
Correct. I'm trying to think of.
That's what I'm trying to wrap my head
Yeah.
around this. So we're looking at a tax abatement, which will cost the city, versus tax abatement on sales tax that we wouldn't be generating anything off of. I mean, I'm kind of looking at that side of it, so.
Really incentivizes towards the developer who then doesn't have to pay sales tax, so they can further invest in the project.
Right, and I understand that. I'm just kind of trying to wrap my head around the benefit or the loss that we will take from that, granting that sales tax exemption.
So if they bought it in the county, the county use tax, but if they don't, then you wouldn't get that, but you would have paid that anyway. So if they buy it in the state, hopefully they can, vendors steal or whatever, but then that would still be abated.
Yeah.
So really what we're missing out is any portion the state may give us and what the county might have given us should they have bought something there. Because of the high probability is they're not buying it in Edwardsville because simply the services and the materials are not being bought.
Right, yeah, and that's kind of what I was figuring on that. That might have been a dumb question, but, you know, we're in a public meeting. I kind of like the public to be able to hear those kind of things, you know, when we're considering a tax, pretty good tax abatement for you to build a building.
Absolutely.
But I'm absolutely not against your project. I want you to understand that part right there.
Appreciate it.
Another couple of little questions. Have you had pretty good cooperation with KDOT on ingress, egress of that property? Or is that something that you're at liberty to talk about?
We've had cooperation. You know, if you go back to the site plan, that first PDF location or image, you know, KDOT's been fairly, what's the right word to say, conclusive in what they do and don't want there. And so, you know, you'll see these two entrances to the right on Caw Drive. They're not allowing those two in that image, just so you're aware. So there's one main on the far, my left, towards those bigger buildings. That's the ingress egress off Caw Drive will have. And that's what KDOT will allow. One.
And not the other two that are to the east.
That's correct. We're trying to work with them to get a right in, right out on one more, but we're unsure at this point in time.
You know why I'm asking that. Will that work?
We can make it work. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to point blank ask, will that work? Because there's an issue right now about ingress egress off properties.
Our preference would be to have one additional one that we have shown there. We understand KDOT's perspective for that far eastern entrance. We're okay with that. It makes sense to us. We don't need that. We would really like to have two that are the two western there. And so we, at a minimum, would love to have a right in, right out in that middle entrance there. But if push comes to shove, we'll be able to create circulation within our site to acquiesce to what KDOT wants.
And then in our traffic inside that is your response, your problem.
Correct. So in this image that you'll see here, if we do only have one far west entrance, we create a frontage road that connects across all of those buildings, which is not shown currently in the drawing you're looking at. And that's a high probability that it will end up doing that.
You're looking at pretty good sized trucks going in.
Not a ton. We don't have much 53 footers that are coming into these locations. They're more box trucks or trailers. So we don't have a high volume of 53 foot traffic from a big semi vehicle.
And then emergency access, fire, ambulance and so forth.
Correct. We'll have 2 points of ingress and egress. So we still have, I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong, I want to say it's 111th Street, but on the far eastern side, it's not really shown on this site plan, but there'll be ingress and egress right there as well.
That will also be.
Correct. It's currently a dirt road.
Thank you for that. One last question. When you show the conceptual views of the buildings,
Yeah.
is there going to be signage on them?
Yeah, and we work with the municipality to make sure, as well as our standards, to make sure that signage is appropriate. But yes, we sometimes also have a marquee where some signage can exist as well. But to answer your question, yes.
That's all the questions I have. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
for that.
One thing we talked about last time, and this might be a staff question, is the final approval of the development agreement, which we're not going to go over tonight, but just making sure that the city council has the opportunity to have the final approval of development agreement for the uses of the PUD. And if that would come up probably in the next couple of meetings, or when do you imagine that would be on the agenda?
Yeah, we would hope to be able to have that in front of you at your next meeting. That would be ideal. Certainly the city council will have final approval of any development agreement as per practice and policy.
Okay, and then the uses of the PUD can be perfect. And then one thing too, that was added from the last time was that $26,000 annual payment, which it looks like almost doubles the revenue brought into the city from the development. And so that's something that I think will be a definite benefit to our community throughout the next several years. And as we bring in economic development, that gives us the actual ability to offset property tax of our residents by using, this would be, a portion of a mill that we can take in to offset those property taxes, which is overall the goal of economic development. So I'm thankful that that was able to be worked out.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Questions?
So just broad question here. What does this cost the city? Anything out of the pocket of the city?
There's no out-of-pocket expenses. There's opportunity costs. Like if we don't do it, we continue to get $402 of property tax or a portion of that. We do it even with the taxes abated. We get $280-some thousand over the 10-year abatement plus the $26,000 community development payment. So
And the improvements.
and generally an improvement with a site that is set vacant for a number of years, many challenges. And we get an additional sewer customer and potentially that gives us the leverage to extend sewer to properties, in that area as well, which we haven't had.
If I could add to, sorry, there is an also economic benefit of the origination fee of the IRB that I believe is primarily the city of Edwardsville is the beneficiary of, which is $100,000 or so as well.
And I'm glad you came back to I was going to ask Councilmember Malat about the drawing here, if there would be a possibility for a frontage road. And that, you answered that there is a possibility, or that's in the plans?
We plan to with the one ingress that we have with KDOT at this point, yeah. And even if we end up with a right in, right out, we still will. So to answer your question, we will.
If there's only a possibility of one entrance, could it be down toward the middle, or are you satisfied with the one where it shows?
I think we're okay with the far right and then the one right near two bigger buildings for logistical reasons. We think that makes sense.
That have to do with the median there on K32?
Right, they are all matched with the medians that exist on K32, correct? And for reasons I don't comprehend, they're only willing to allow that one far on the west.
Right.
It's KDOT.
And you might have heard me mention by 2029, they're taking those out, especially the ones that are towards the interstate. So that's one of their goals, is it's controlled access, and that's why these new developments are being a little more restrict on the access points, because they're trying to control the number of them. And then, of course, if they take out the medians, it does do something to the, engineering wise, I can't speak to that, but speeds and turning and some of the other stuff that they would consider.
First I've heard of that.
I would assure that they, at least the east section of our 32 towards the interstate, those who are clearly dilapidated and falling apart will be completely removed. So this may be a part of that.
That is something they did mention, yep.
Might be an improvement. No, okay.
Better than that.
No, it won't. It'll speed the trucks up.
I'm sorry. No, that was for you, Gary.
Yeah, well, thank you.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
I live on that. I live there, so
I
I know
gotcha.
what we're fighting on that. That's all for me. Anybody else got anything?
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank
you.
Thanks for being here to answer questions.
I think at this point, if there's no more questions for staff, we just need a motion to approve the incentives. That's included in the packet. And again, those incentives will be included in the development agreement.
Would that be just the recommendation you've got written here? Would that suffice as a motion?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can just approve, city attorney can correct me, but I think just move to approve the incentive agreement with Elevated Ventures Group.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve the recommendation of the city council to consider an incentive agreement with Elevated Ventures Group.
Second. We have a motion from Councilman Malat, a second from Councilman Adcox. Will the clerk please call roll?
Overheard.
Yes.
Sorry, can we redo that? The memo usually says consider it, so the motion should just say move to approve the incentive.
If I may, I'll change the motion to approve an agreement with an incentive agreement with Elevated Ventures Group.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilman Malat, a second from Councilman Adcox. Will the clerk please call roll?
Overheard.
Yes.
Malat.
Yes.
Shriver.
Yes.
Adcox.
Yes.
Mullen.
Yes.
Vote passes by 2
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item number 8. City Council to consider adopting Resolution 2026-12, authorizing the survey and eminent domain proceedings for the 98th Street Phase 2 construction project.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, Council, you have before you the background information on resolution number 2026-12. And this is an authorization for survey and eminent domain proceedings. This is fairly routine for us. I know the word sting a little bit, but it's fairly routine in the sense that in most of these big projects, we need to have an early resolution on this. It doesn't mean we're immediately taking any action, and there will be more formal documents should that be necessary. But as you read in the background information, that Phase 2 98th Street is well on its way. We're acquiring right-of-way and construction easements, and that's what will help facilitate that particular portion of the project. If we delay these things, it delays the project, as simply as it comes. And now this is owner, it's on us. It's on the owner to take care of this and make the purchases of things. So if we're delaying it, we're actually costing ourselves money. This gives us a little bit of leverage in the sense that when we approach those we've already talked to, and they're a little leery, it says, we want to negotiate, we're going to continue negotiating. However, we do have this in our pocket a little bit, and it says something that we're serious about it. As, again, this is a partnership with KDOT. KDOT doesn't want to delay these things. KDOT partnership means there's mark money. Mark money is in fiscal years. Therefore, right, it has a lot of consequences. So this is just the first stage of action that we would take. And if it becomes necessary, there'll be some other legislative work that will present to you, and then you would pass an ordinance and that sort of thing. Right now, you can see there's 13 that haven't been executed, several of them ongoing, and we're going to continue our efforts to negotiate driveways, right-of-way access into private property, that sort of thing. There's quite a bit. This is 98 Phase 2, right? We're coming south from Kansas all the way to Metropolitan Circle. So we have a lot of work there. So I would recommend that we get ahead of this and pass that today.
Is Metropolitan Circle, is that the entrance to the Groves Estate?
One thing, and I think we've talked about that, well, I know we've talked about it, but could you describe how we've narrowed the project a little? It's not quite as wide or expansive across people's property as Phase 1, correct? Didn't we kind of narrow it down so we're not taking?
There was some engineering concessions. We believed in Phase 1, there was lots of room for a sidewalk and a trail, but that was immediately taken out, meaning the sidewalk portion, which is the west side. We're doing the same thing, and one of the reasons is there are some houses that are really tied up against the full width of the road, that's typically 80 feet, is how they have to design it. So from all the way across. So we didn't have to make any adjustments because we left the sidewalk portion out. There's enough room because of some standards in the engineering that should it ever be warranted, you could put that in there, but you would just you would build some walls and not take as much top property of a lawn or something, right? That's a typical design, or that there's some 4-to-1 sloping or something that would have that. Now, some of that's going to go on anyway, but should we later decide there would be room to put a sidewalk, and there would be options to make sure we didn't take any more of the yard, if you will. There are a couple of them that are pretty tight, but they made some concessions about narrowing and redesigning, and should there be any sidewalk facility, it would be up against the curb rather than pushed back. So you might see the sidewalk take a little snake, if you will. So that's what I recall from the engineering design, and that we've accommodated already several discussions about, well, this driveway may not have been completely improved, but it's been here for 20 years. I just don't use it, but I would like to have that access. We've accommodated those kinds of things. There is one that's a little difficult in the sense that it has a almost circular driveway, but where the cut is, you couldn't put it on that slope. Does that make sense? It's so sloped in such a way, you couldn't put that driveway in a circle. So we can't put it back. So we have to accommodate and, make an offer that says, hey, we're taking this. We can't put it back the same, but we'll accommodate you the best we can. So that's kind of what this will do, is help facilitate getting some of those things done, hopefully without having a district court hearing over it. Now, there's one, we have some states, for example, which may be tied up in some legal. So this is how you address those things without delaying.
Mark, this isn't taking any houses, is it?
None.
Just easement, right-of-way easement?
Yeah, where you see it dropping down there, fence line, for example, tree line, those are primarily what we're taking. And then, of course, if we have to deal with a driveway, that's most common. Maybe some laterals here and there, we've had that in the past, but we address those in these negotiations.
Okay. Just want to make clear, it wasn't any houses.
No, sir.
And then is there consideration on further south? I know it's not with this project, with that angle bridge across from the church, the one about a half mile up from 32?
I locate that near Parks.
Right, yes.
Okay, right there. That had a lasting life. Its lifespan is 2 years ago was 10 years, so we're about 8 years. So that's going to be a part of Phase 3.
Okay.
And there will be a street alignment that will fix that. But as we know in Phase 3, those are really tied up against, you're taking 80-foot total right away, that whole area, that's pretty tight. But one thing about Phase 3, I just remind everybody, is that we've been working with BPU, but they have a line replacement that they want to get done. We don't want them to acquire the easement before we do, because then we have to pay them to move.
On Phase 2?
That'll be on Phase 3.
Okay.
So I don't think utilities are on the way right now. That's being discussed, and some of them are being moved. But in this particular case, we are going door to door, we're talking to every landowner that we can reach. And again, some mistakes and things that ties that up. However, we've been in negotiations. There's several just outstanding right now, and that as we get longer and longer, it's going to end up delaying this project in some way or another if we don't get on it. And it's our responsibility.
One last question, and I was hoping Andrew Kump would be here. Has there been any discussion with Wyandotte KCK about 98th Street North from our city limits to
Not for
state,
my office.
where that could be improved to match along with our Miracle Mile?
It's, again, it's not been for my office. It's not impossible, but I think we did ask them prior to the start of that, and it was kind of a hard no. There's what, two houses?
Push them.
I think Mr. Millat's referring to south of State and then to the city limits of Edwardsville.
Correct.
On 98th Street.
From the city limits to State Avenue.
Where the sidewalk ends.
Yeah.
That's just more for open discussion for the people that are sitting in this room so they can hear these things that are discussed. So
Is it possible to narrow it further than 80 feet? That just seems like such a wide expanse.
I think the answer is we're building to the KDOT standards and it's been designed that way. So the answer is probably highly probable no.
I'm thinking like when I'm showing houses, for example, sometimes it makes a really big difference if someone has a circle drive so they can get right up to their front door if they're older, have knee issues or whatever. And so if we don't have to go quite that far into the yard to where they'd still be able to have that access to get up to the door and not have to take stairs if maybe they're not able to as well. I mean, that would make a really big difference in somebody's day-to-day life, so.
Yeah. There may be some other engineering aspects that we can consider for that particular piece. Some of it wouldn't be in the right of way at all, but the pieces that are in the right of way kind of take it out.
Question about phase 3. Does that one have to be through KDOT so maybe we can narrow it down?
It does not, we don't have to go through, KDOT is Mark, right? So that's a cost share. So when you're talking millions, it's only 20% to us. But if you want to fund the whole thing yourself, then that would be, it's right now we're pushing 12 million maybe. That's a bridge in there. That's the biggest part of that phase 3.
I just feel like phase 3 at 80 feet would put us in someone's living room.
There's at least a couple. I would suspect that's true. And how do you handle those?
And that's down the road, but
Yeah.
just,
There's been high-level engineering, and that's it, only for the Mark application. And I told you in my last department report that we scored high for that. But when the funding decision comes around, which if we're scoring high 2 years in a row, we should have that by next year, then that's when you decide these things, is whether or not taking a different approach might be best for that particular piece. But I remind everyone again, BPU's involved, and they have so many leaks along that line, they want to replace it. And therefore, they could get the easements, and if we want them to move it, then we'll pay for that. So again, this document is all about the start. No legal action is going to be taken. We're going to continue negotiations, and then we'll get to a point where we say, in a couple of months, if we've had no response or progress from these particular ones, we should go with the ordinance and then file that. And then what happens there is very fair. 3 independent surveyors go out and assess this particular property, and they assess it against what we've offered. And then the judge decides, hey, this is a fair offer for that, and it's usually higher. That's been our experience in the last 3 projects.
We did that on Richland, right?
Richland, yes, we did.
It worked out okay.
It did.
Madam Mayor, I want to make a motion to adopt resolution number 2026-12, authorization for survey and eminent domain proceeding for 98th Street Phase 2 construction.
Second.
we have a motion from Councilman Millat, a second from Councilman Adcox. Will the clerk please call roll?
Everhart,
Yes.
Millat,
Yes.
Shriver,
Yes.
Adcox,
Yes.
Bullock,
Yes.
vote passes 5-0.
Okay, item 9 on our agenda will be the presentation on municipal facility status. And then after that, we will circle back to item 6.
Mary, you ready? We'll call on our team. Officer Williams, Jeremy, Vogel Anderson, who may be the silent partner today.
Full support.
Well worked on that.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thanks for having me back. I'm Ellen Foster with Finkel Williams Architecture. As you know, we've been working hand in hand with the city and staff to bring forward this awesome project. We thought it was time to just give kind of a high-level update on where we're at on the budget, some images of the municipal building that's going to start construction here any day that you haven't seen yet, and then sort of a construction update on the fire station and kind of next steps. So we thought it was just a good time to present you all kind of where we're at. So as you recall, we started this project 2+ years ago, and we had developed these set of guiding principles, and we just like to continue to reflect back on these to check our progress and make sure that we're still meeting the mark as we continue to go into construction and be opening the doors here soon on the fire station. We want to create a public safety campus for the public, initiate the vision for the heart of Edwardsville. Economic stewardship has been a priority all along, and I think we've done a good job being diligent with our budget and everything we've been able to achieve so far. Create a facility that the community will be proud of, with a focus on well-being of staff and the critical nature of services, and then connectivity within the campus and the parks and trails. So I just want to hit out of the gate kind of where we stand budget-wise. There's no action or approval today's meeting. You guys have already done most of the approvals that will be needed for this project, which includes 3 GMPs that have been before you that Vogel Anderson, our construction partner, has brought forward. They are under contract for the entirety of the fire station site and municipal building. And those 3 GMPs that you've already approved are $14.6 million. And then all the other sort of what we call soft costs, owner costs, which includes our design services, all of the furniture, fixtures, and equipment that fit out the buildings, technology, utilities, building inspections, all of those sort of fall under the owner costs. Right now, that's an estimated, a good estimate of 3.7 million, which gives us our budget of 18.4, which puts us in budget for, there's an $18.5 million fund, and we are within that with everything that we've brought before you tonight. So we'll give you kind of a breakdown of, I'll go through the municipal building and what is and maybe isn't included in that all-in budget number right now. So we'll just kind of go forward. You guys have seen this rendering before. This has not really changed. We'll get to the schedule here in a little bit, but it'll be really exciting to start to see this take shape over the next several months as we get into the summer months and into the fall. This will really start to take shape, and you'll see that progress happening. As you know, we demoed a portion of this building so that we could start doing this building. This is the site plan, which has not changed, but I did want to just point out a few things that were not really shown maybe the last time we showed this image, which at the kind of the top of the plan, I don't know if there's a pointer. Oh, there's a pointer. Oh, it doesn't really show up on the screen. But at the top of the screen, you can see kind of a round circular element. That is a fountain/splash pad feature that is part of the budget right now. It's included. It will become part of this community public-facing part of the project. It kind of caps what we call the bump of the site, which will be a really nice feature to have, especially as part of that community library function. So there's an indoor-outdoor space. There'll be a patio that connects that library with the water feature out front. But there's 2 areas that we've shown kind of we call them add alternates, things that are not in the budget right now, but if there's additional funds or if we're able to find some savings elsewhere in the project as we continue to evaluate, we call kind of value engineering alternate products that could potentially save us a few dollars here and there. There's also a healthy contingency that's still in there that if it doesn't get used, maybe we could fund these 2 other components, which is the kind of play area that's adjacent to the water feature, kind of in the hatched area to the left there, in the northwest corner above the parking. We had shown some renderings early on of a little play area, some kind of mounds and playscape, kind of natural, but that is not included right now. That would be, it's kind of priced out at about $140,000. Would be in addition to what we're covered for right now. And then the other ad alternate that we're hoping that we can get into the project is security fencing around the PD parking that's outlined in red there. That's about a $300,000 cost that's not currently in the budget. But again, that's kind of our first highest priority. If we do find some savings and or don't use all the contingency, that would be what we recommend to include day one. So those are just kind of explaining a couple of the ad alternates. So this is a rendering. I don't think you guys have seen this of that play fountain splash pad area that's adjacent to the on the north side of the library there. Or sorry. That's east. Yeah, so just kind of showing some of the color, landscape, and connectivity. You know, that sidewalk that wraps around to the crosswalk that crosses right there on 4th Street and wrapping around to the front face of the library and a nice public plaza area that brings you into the building. This is kind of a closer up view of that. Some limestone seating blocks that kind of create the boundary of that. And then one more view just on the other side. There's probably not that many trees in the background. That's where some houses are. But renderings are tricky to show very realistic. There we go. Okay, so just a reminder of the floor plan, and this hasn't changed since last time we saw, but I just wanted to remind you all, kind of highlight the different areas. Blue is the PD area. Orange is the shared lobby and city hall area. The purple is the council chamber / municipal court space. And then the green is all of the community and library spaces. This is a rendering of the council chamber. So we've got this wood and limestone feature wall at the back with some highlighted lighting that'll light up those limestone panels on the side. A vaulted ceiling that you can, reflects the shape of the building that we've created on the outside. This is a view of the shared lobby. When you come in the vestibule doors, there will be a city hall front desk, as well as a court clerk counter adjacent. So very clear wayfinding and signage for people who come in to take care of business. They'll be oriented here. And then if you're standing here and turn to behind you, there's a kind of alcove for the police lobby. All of this is shared in one vestibule, but through those glass doors would be through to the police department. Secure doors. This is a view of the community room. Again, we're kind of utilizing that higher volume space for that community room. There will be access to this from the outside, so people don't necessarily have to come in through the secure lobby. If there was an after-hours event or somebody needed to have a meeting here or a community event, they get grant access to the facility after hours without having to go through the city hall. This is a view of the interior of the city hall office space. There's some open office area, and then behind us would be kind of the private offices that go around the perimeter. That view would be out towards the lobby. And then this is a view of the PD break room. Just kind of simple finishes, but a nice space for respite during the day. And then I just wanted to highlight really quick that library and community space. And the final layout of the shelving and the books is still being worked through. But this is just sort of one idea of how that could shake out. On this slide, I just wanted to highlight what's included in kind of the library programming space, which includes children's area, adult area, coffee station, computer tables, teen lounge area, and a library workroom. The meeting spaces include the community room that would seat about 48 at training tables, 2 smaller meeting rooms that seat about 8 people each, and then 2 smaller study rooms. I did want to just point out that what's included in the current budget that we presented of the 18.4 million includes furniture for the library, furnishings, shelving, tables, chairs, audio-visual equipment, security, lighting, technology, and even kind of attached to the building and the infrastructure to make it run. But it does not include collections, books, checkout equipment, staffing, operational needs. So those are kind of outside beyond our project budget. So I just wanted you all to be aware that that's not included in our project. And this is just a what if kind of view of the library space. We're still kind of working through the details of the ceiling element and the tree, but generally the vibe is what you see here.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Go back one slide.
Uh-huh.
So there's two outside entrances to the library?
Yes, so the one on the bottom, sort of the single door that goes out to the right, that would be to kind of the patio area. It wouldn't really be a place for the public to come in at. You could go in and out to like read a book on the patio, but it wouldn't be like a public access unless you were already inside the library.
Perfect. Thank you.
And then the one on the north would be just during business, during library operational hours, that would be open.
So you don't have to come all the way through.
Right.
Perfect. Thank you.
And then I wanted to give a quick update on the fire station. I'm sure you guys have all seen the construction progress. It's coming along. We're getting very close to the end of construction. So I just wanted to share a couple construction update photos. There it goes. So the site plan has not changed. I just wanted to point out the new addition and then the existing fire station that's being renovated. This is a really neat aerial shot of the progress. This was probably a couple weeks ago because they now have all of that metal cladding back on. But it just kind of shows the scale and continuity of the addition that has been added on. And then sort of a view on the left of the different materials that we thought the brick actually did a pretty good job of blending in with the old brick. So it looks pretty continuous. This is a view of what will be the firefighters' patio area off of their kitchen. It'll be a nice covered space. And the bunk room windows. And then this, I just want to do a side-by-side. The left is the current construction of that kitchen dining day area, and that's the rendering, so you can kind of see it taking shape pretty closely to what we had envisioned with the rendering. And then just progress of the bunk rooms, you can kind of see it taking shape. They still need to put the carpet in there, but the windows are in, the ceilings are in, the ceiling fans. So the individual bunk rooms will be really nice, small, but what they need to have individual sleeping quarters, which is the goal. And then the bottom right picture is their newly created gear locker storage. So it's a really nice cleaned up space. That was formerly their bunk room. That's been cleaned up. It's got new epoxy floors. So it'll be a really nice place to store their gear, their gear lockers. And then I'm going to turn it over to Jeremy to just kind of touch high level on construction schedule milestones, and happy to answer your questions.
Yep. Jeremy Hoffman, Bogle Anderson Construction. So what we've got going on out there today, as you saw in the pictures, the construction is nearly complete on the fire station. We're shooting for mid to end of June to be wrapping it up. We've hit some delays with Evergy here recently. They kind of slowed us down on finishes, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring out a truck and get some temp AC in there running so we don't damage the finishes they're installed for the next couple of weeks. So we've got flooring going in that Ellen had touched on in the bunk rooms. Epoxy's going down. The LVT floors will start over on the older side of the building. In late August or mid-August, we've got the full building generator coming in. That's been a process we've been working through, but I think we've finally got it nailed down. And then we've got furniture delivery and move in late June, early July, depending on which portion of the building is that they're going to move into. We found some existing conditions with the sewer underneath the old portion of the building. So they'll probably be moving into the new portion early and then offices a little bit after that, so we can kind of get into the floors on that side. That work will be starting in the next week or so, but it's going to take us a little bit of time there with that surprise. So that's for the fire station itself. Site utilities, which is the portion that's right out here, that's your sanitary, and then bringing in all the new electrical. That should be wrapping up over the next couple of weeks, which is really going to finally give us the opportunity to kick off and start on the municipal building. We're looking to start our footings before the end of June, so you guys can actually see something instead of just dust going around out there. So full project completion is currently scheduled for early summer of 27. Any schedule questions?
I have one that might not be relevant, but I usually do anyway. Are you considering any electric car charging stations in the parking lot? Isn't that something that should be considered?
I think we start with affordability and maybe you attach that later on. I think where we're trending is adding things is going to make it really tight. Now, maybe there's a future call for it. I know a gas station here in town considered that. There's a little bit of regulation. There's that may challenge us as well. In the last year, somebody's submitting to add those. But as far as cost wise, I think it's just not viable right now. Ask the question after the thing is done, and then maybe we can do it ownership wise. That's what I would suggest.
So previously we had talked about project completion spring 2027. Is that out of the realm of possibility?
I like to come to these conservatively, so I'm currently saying early summer. A lot of what we're bringing into here recently has been through the effort. So our original kickoff for the building outside was about 60 days ago. So that's what we're currently tracking. So if we can make any of that time up, we absolutely will.
One other question on the police department. I guess it's adequate. I've been in on any of the designing, so basically this is pretty new stuff to me. Is there a jail in there, a holding facility?
There are holding facilities.
Okay, that's all I've got. Thanks.
Questions? Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming out and
Yeah.
being available for us. It's exciting to see progress. Yeah, it'll be a great improvement for our community. Thank you. Have a good night. Okay, we're going to bump up to item number 6 on the agenda, which is presentation from at-large District 2 Commissioner Andrew Kump. Commissioner Kump, thanks for being here this evening.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. I want to start by apologizing for my tardiness. I had an end-of-day fire cut at work that I had to address before I get over here, so I appreciate your patience. My name is Andrew Kump. I'm the District 2 at-large Commissioner for the UG, which includes the Edwardsville area. So I wanted to come out and introduce myself, but also I'm hoping to do these several times a year to provide updates to you all about kind of what's happening at the UG. Right now, the updates I have are obviously it's budget season for the county and city. One thing I've committed to publicly and will commit to again here is I will not approve a budget that doesn't fund the sci-fi program. I think that's a program that we've had that has been obviously underfunded and underutilized, which harms you all as well as Bonner Springs and Kansas City, Kansas, frankly. So I've been pushing, and I know Commissioner Stacks as well, to see that program funded in this budget cycle. So it's early. We're hoping to make some progress there, but I can't support something that won't benefit the entire community and the county budget. So that's kind of my goal. Another update I have, is about a month ago now, the UG changed their we voted on our rates for our solid waste, among other rates. The way things had been done previously with solid waste rates is that Kansas City, Kansas residents would essentially subsidize Bonner and Edwardsville residents' use of the dumpster days and the hazardous waste facility. So their cost to Edwardsville would be about $3.50 approximately. per resident. The UG voted to end that program. So what will happen going forward is the cost to Edwardsville and Bonner will be the actual cost of service, which is about, I want to say, I don't quote me exactly, but I want to say around $300 a person. This is something I did not support at the commission level because I thought at the minimum we should at least consult with y'all and the Bonner Springs City Council, which to my knowledge we did not. But so that is an update moving forward. That will begin in 2027. Our county administrator is supposed to be reaching out to have this discussion to discuss what that will look like for y'all going forward. I see Mayor, I see you nodding your head, so I don't believe that's occurred yet, but I will send another reminder to his office to ensure that you guys get some information from us, because this will affect the rates that Edwardsville pays for your citizens to use household hazardous waste, dumpster days, and I think the yard waste facility as well. Other than that, I don't have any other major updates. I'm happy to stand for questions or comments if y'all have any.
Talk about that recycle and talk about that $3 up to 300 house. How am I going to pay that?
So what it had, excuse me, how it had been, as I understand, was the rates that KCK residents pay for their solid waste would pay for their trash pickup as well as it would subsidize that difference for Bonner and Edwardsville. So we passed new rates this recent, about a month ago. And as part of that rate discussion, it was decided that these new rates will no longer provide that subsidy. So it won't be, as I understand it, it won't be a cost to the citizen directly. I think the UG will bill the city of Edwardsville for, like on a per resident. So if they have 30 residents who use it, they'll send you that bill for whatever that cost is of residents. That's how I understand it to be the program to work. I think that's how it's operated right now as well, except obviously the number was much smaller because the rate was only like $3 or $3.50 per resident. So again,
So if you don't use it,
so if nobody in Edwardsville uses it, for example, then you will not receive any kind of bill from the UG. I think I asked for some data on this on the night of the vote, and I think historically it's like a 15 to 20 person number. That's Bonner, and then separately about 15 in Edwardsville who use it. So there is some citizens who use it. That's my understanding. I'm not positive on those numbers. So there are some folks who use it, and that obviously will have an impact on the amount of money y'all have to pay for your residents to use this facility.
even if you don't use it?
Well, if nobody uses it, then.
No, if one person uses it.
If one person uses it, then I think it would just be billed at that rate times one. So it'd be the $300. If it's 10 people, for example, then it'd be that 300 times 10. And that would be the bill to the city.
We need to dig a hole somewhere to put stuff.
Yeah, and again, this isn't something.
That's a mandate that.
I didn't support this.
that's
I thought
bad.
at minimum, we should have at least giving all that up.
Flyer to our residents.
It didn't happen.
How's that?
They should be sent out in a flyer to our residents.
Absolutely.
You
So,
just made that decision. They made that decision in there.
oh, not in the middle. Sorry. We
Yeah.
can't in the middle of the meeting, but we'll get there.
If I could, this will help
Yes.
this discussion. The background is we didn't pay. They did an audit and they decided it wasn't a county program, it was a city of KCK program.
Right.
All my previous presentation. And then we decided that they would bill the city per user, so the count. Show up, you put your ID up, they say, okay, this is your address, and that's how they count the number of users between the dumpster days, the yard waste recycle, and the haz waste, okay? And so then they just, at the end of the year, they'll send us a bill. And I can tell you, maybe 2 users as the top bill ever, right? In the sense of what these proposed, or what they proposed, $300. I mean, that's way out of what we used to pay. And we've only done this for about a year and a half, that's been very long. And so now we're going to a fairly high rate. So they'll buy user, it's the same program, the rate has substantially increased.
Right.
So that's what you're up against.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Sure.
We have 2 zip codes. So I live in Edwardsville, Kansas, and I live in Kansas City, Kansas. My driver's license says I live in Kansas City, Kansas. So I get it for free.
I would suspect they go off of the driver's license that you present to them, so. Sounds like it, yeah.
Well, good. I'll just keep that KCK on my driver's license.
We'll load Garrett up with all.
Yeah, we'll sit over there.
I'll get a truck.
Well, I appreciate you standing against that. And this is, first of all, I understand the fairness of it. I understand that if Kansas City, Kansas is personally putting the bill for it, that we can't just put that on the backs of Kansas City, Kansas. And the frustration, and I think that that's what you're representing for us, is that that's certainly not how it goes the other direction.
Right.
And we pay so much in taxes to our county, and we don't see any benefit for it out in this part of the community in the west side of Wyandotte County. And so that's where the frustration is coming a little bit, as we go, okay, then what's our money going toward? I've visited the hazardous waste site, I think, once, and it's not waste management, it's UG employees working down there. So I'm assuming their salaries are 100% city funded and not county funded.
I believe so, but I don't want to say that and then be incorrect.
That's
I believe
okay.
That's the case, but I'm not 100% certain.
So that would be something to consider, is that solid waste needs to be 100% funded from Kansas City, Kansas budget, and not one penny should be coming from the county budget.
Oh, I agree.
And then if that's the case, then potentially we take our stuff to KC Disposal or something, and don't assume that the county is going to serve us in that capacity. Now, I believe Johnson County, Leavenworth County, a lot of those counties actually, that's a service provided by the county with the tax dollars paid by the county. And so, again, I appreciate you standing against that decision and trying to stand up for us to get a benefit for all these taxes we're paying in. You started off the conversation with saying, I'm not going to support a budget that doesn't include funding of sci-fi. And that's something that we have asked for quite some time.
Which I understand.
Yes, and I so appreciate that, because that is actually a use of county funds that funds infrastructure improvements for not only Edwardsville, not only Bonner, but Kansas City, Kansas as well. It's a win across the county, a great use of county funds for one of the #1 complaints in Wyandotte County, which is infrastructure. And so bringing that back, especially last year after they jacked up our taxes tremendously and had zero to show for it, it was salt in the wound, I would say. And so I appreciate you taking on that need as well and advocating for this part of the county, because not everyone understands the concerns that are coming from this area. So I do appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. And I will say it's not one of the top complaints. It is consistently the #1 complaint. So it baffles the mind to an extent that that's one of the things that's consistently been cut first. So I appreciate you saying that. I'm happy to answer any other questions.
Just tell you, I appreciate you coming out.
Sure, and like I said, this is something I intend to do several times a year in both Edwardsville and Bonner, trying to, put my money where my mouth is, in the sense that I represent the entire county, not the Kansas City. So I appreciate all the time. Thank you.
Much appreciated.
Thank you for coming out. Not everybody has, to answer that question, the county administrator has not contacted us about that, and we probably want to revisit that agreement if the rate's going up by 100 times. And then the last thing I would just ask is, as they're doing this, hey, if they're not paying for it, let's not charge them for it. Ask them to put pilot on that list would be wonderful.
I'll make sure I bring that up to him. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for coming out tonight.
Thank you.
Again, we don't always get representation from the county to our meetings. And so I want to take time to appreciate that one of our commissioners is out here this evening and taking time to kind of take the heat for the rest of the county. We do appreciate that. Item number 10 is staff presentation and council discussion regarding the city's 2027 budget.
Mayor, we'll turn it over to Mr. Doug Gerber.
Everybody, good evening again. This presentation this evening is called 27 Budget Parts 3. Thank you. So in a similar vein from the first two discussions, has some information I want to present. Mostly tonight, it is departmental overviews, specifically of personnel in departments and services those departments offer. I do have a couple of things that don't necessarily need an answer on tonight, but I want to throw them out there so that you can begin thinking about them individually, so that perhaps in the next meeting we can have a discussion about them. We'll start, as always, with the calendar. And again, we've gone through 2 discussions. We should be anytime getting some preliminary valuation numbers from the county. It's incredibly difficult to move forward with a big part of our revenue forecast without those numbers, and so we anxiously await those. We are tonight starting the general fund discussion. And then I hope that between now and the next time we get together on June 22nd, that we have an idea of what the revenue rate might look like. So, but TBD, I guess we will see. Additionally, I hope that we are ready to get an audit report at the next meeting, but they, as of this morning, actually, we're still asking for information, so I don't know if I'm optimistic about that or not. As a reminder of our budget priorities, no need to belabor these. We've talked about it twice now, but again, it never hurts to just continue to have those in front of us. I think I included that from last time and forgot to move that slide down, so with your permission, I'll skip that. So just in terms of a departmental overview, in the general fund, we have 6 specific areas where they are all contained within the general fund, but we have 6 specific areas that are housed in the general fund. The first of those is administration. That includes the governing body and the city manager's office. That should actually be 9 full-time employees, because I don't have a separate slide for court. I probably could, or maybe even should, but if you throw the court folks in this, that raises that to 9. That number is exactly the same as last year, except that we swapped out a planner for a city attorney. If that makes sense. Even though the city attorney isn't a full-time employee, it's an employee within the department. The planner is no longer in the budget, so in any case, the number is 9.
Including the city attorney.
Yes, that's correct. And the function of administration, which also includes payment for the governing body, is general administration, city clerk, planning and zoning, and city attorney. And on all these slides, I didn't really put any 2026 budget highlights because it's mostly a status quo budget from the previous year. The fire department, as we know, includes fire and ambulance staff. 17 full-time employees, 12 part-time, almost a $3 million budget. That includes fire admin, fire suppression, and ambulance services.
Are they fully staffed?
That, as of this moment, they are. Yes. I'm looking at my phone.
Yes, right there.
It knows better than me. Police department obviously includes police administration, patrol services, and code enforcement. They include 19 full-time employees, 2 non-sworn employees, which would be essentially the chief's assistant, and then the code enforcement officer of the non-sworn employees. They are also close to a $3 million budget, 2.95, and again, it includes administration, control, and code enforcement.
Are they fully staffed?
I do not believe they are. Saying chief is giving the thumbs up, so. Public Works. The Public Works is interesting. We have a Public Works staff of 5 full-time employees, 1 part-time employee. One of those employees is paid out of the sewer fund because they do primarily sewer type of work. Then we also have 1 part-time employee and some seasonals. Their budget is about $500,000. They take care of streets, building maintenance. They do some parks work as well. They do cemetery maintenance and also sewer. But again, the sewer portion for that employee and materials and those types of things are funded out of the sewer budget, not out of the general fund.
Does that include the mowing that we hire out, or is that a separate budget item?
That 500,000 includes the contract mowing, yes.
Okay.
Which they did some switching on the contract this year. They just basically swapped some parcels that made more sense for us and for them, so. That helped Brian get a level with them, putting that together. Parks Department, we have 1 full-time employee, 5 seasonals part-time, and then, depending on the time of year, there's umpires, referees, people doing arts and crafts. I don't know, just that's a really up and down kind of number, but all those are included in their $264,000 budget, which would include parks, recreation, and cemetery. Now, obviously, some of the major recreation projects aren't necessarily paid out of the general fund. They will come from some of the more special funds like special sales tax or mostly special sales
Yeah,
tax, I would
also,
say.
there is a parks, but it's very small budget,
Yeah.
special parks fund.
They operate on district budget for sure. This one's new, and I bring it up because it is new. Beginning, the 2026 budget includes a full-time employee beginning in October. So there's funds included in the 26 budget for 1 full-time employee to begin essentially getting the library up to speed. That was the intent at the time. That will include library operations. So obviously, going from 1 full-time employee to whatever it will take to run the library, 27, even for part of 27, there's a gap there. And so one question I would ask you to consider is what you think staffing needs look like for the library department. If we have an opening of late spring, early summer, midsummer, fall, whatever it ends up looking like next year, what should that look like? So that's a outstanding question that will help drive our budget for 2027.
Yeah, I see that as, given their reporting of moving spring almost to the first of summer, it gives you that 3 or 4 months that your full-time October staff member then can base some timing on the hiring and the number of hires, how, the payment structure, all that, those kind of things, saves you on some benefits as well. So really, you're 3/4 of the year budget in that particular. So you would have some savings, but you're going to kick off this particular upcoming year with staffing, for sure. That's going to be an added cost. And we did have all of that done. We did a full assessment, as you know, and Mr. Gerber has that report that we submitted to the county library board. And so that structure and all of that is in place. Inflation will need to be accounted for, but it's there. But now we can maybe lessen that cost because of the timing of when it will be fully functional.
Is there a job description for that position?
Now, but there will be. There are templates, of course, but we'll certainly need to, hone that in and what they're going to be responsible for and that sort of thing.
Should that be a priority, maybe to have a job description so you could know a little bit more about what you're really looking for when applications, if applications start coming in?
Yeah, I think the staff could probably put that together in the next several weeks and then be ready for an advertisement to somewhat by October. There's not a specific date. That you get the right candidate through the right process, then you get them started. You need that 3 or 4 months uptime just to get ready to open the doors. You want somebody intimate with that. So the first stage would be to build that from a template, a job description. They certainly can handle that.
How about a salary range Like-
somewhat been established, but certainly you'll need to adopt that.
Yeah, I don't know that I see us doing anything in the next month or so. I mean, it seems like we can push it through to late summer and move on to steal a job description from someone and cater to our needs.
We'll still have to be there in time to certify the budget. Wouldn't it?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
If you're talking about staffing in October, that's already taken care of out of this year's budget, correct? But it's going to have to be included into the next year's budget,
That's correct.
which is brand new here, which we've never done before. So would there be changes then from October to January, the fiscal?
You will see that budget number. Mr. Gerber is going to do the math. Like I was explaining, you're going to have a quarter of the year that you will have one full-time, you'll have to pay 100% for the year. But you'll have this quarter year where you don't have the benefits, you don't have 3 or 4 staff members on there. And so he'll do the math based on 3/4 of a year, right? And you'll have that in this presentation for the next year's adoption, right? So you'll see those numbers of the full library budget. Just no different than Public Works and Police Department, Fire Department. You'll see what that is. It's simply going to be less than a full year the next year because you'll be 100% of the year rather than 3/4 of the year, if that makes sense.
Okay, so that's really the overview I wanted to provide tonight. I would like to end with what's next. I hope by next time when we get some of those numbers, we're able to do at least a preliminary look at general fund and how those numbers might shake out. We need to, our budget in the general fund is driven primarily by employee salary and benefits. And so at some point, we need to nail down what that number is going to look like, even if it's just it's going to be a 20% raise kind of thing. Oh, I don't know.
That's ambitious.
I'm just throwing it out
Like,
there.
You got any job applications?
It's supposed to be funny, sorry.
It was.
Okay.
Kidding. Just kidding.
Just that, maybe,
I'm not.
those things that I'm raising tonight because it needs to be something that everybody's thinking about moving forward. We talked about the R&R decision that has to be by July 13th. That meeting, because the deadline is July 20th. And then again, other funds will review those. So stuff is moving along. It's starting to pick up steam. And we're excited about diving into the season further. With that, I'll be quiet and see if you have any questions.
Do we have some problems with apparatus in the fire department? I see the white ambulance out doing quite a bit of stuff, and I thought it was basically retired.
Yeah, that.
And is there some fire truck? Are we having a KCK fire truck over there?
Yeah, from what I know is that we definitely have a fire truck. Our pumper truck is under some repair. KCK has generously loaned us one. It came back today. Well, there's your update there. Somebody's ahead of the game. The white ambulance, yes, it is the one that's cycling out. It's the first one I drove to town, by the way, several years ago. And so it's ending its life cycle. We must have a repair for that as well. So,
Are we missing an ambulance? Is there one in?
The new one.
yeah, we have one coming. There's 2.
There's a new one coming,
Yes, sir.
but is there one that's in repair right now?
Yeah, I believe so. The newest one is in repair, so therefore the backup ambulance, which is the white one, is sitting out and being used. But it will rotate out to be sold, and I think we have a buyer on that.
All right, yeah, I was just curious because I saw it go out 3 or 4 times and
Still running?
a KCK fire truck here, so is that, some of that going to need to be replaced or be thinking about replacing some of that apparatus?
Do you know the level of repairs?
No, but again, we have a new ambulance coming and the older one will rotate out. So that, not that the problem is solved, but we'll have 2 relatively new ambulances in service. And the fire truck rotation will just follow the rotation schedule.
Okay, Thank you.
Did you say the new one was needing repaired? The new ambulance?
Yeah, the newest one we have is, probably engine trouble or something. Do we have any ideas?
I do.
Exactly. They had to put it out of service. It could be as simple as something that's related to medical service, which is the box, right? So we just don't know.
Okay, thank you. City manager report.
Thank you. I have submitted the department report. It has all the project updates as close as we could get them to the day, and some of the general progress of money related, the budget related, how we're sitting on when the letting is going to happen. This original town center connector, which I like to call the Edwardsville Trail, that thing is just a total mess. And it's because right now, it used to be this bridge. I think we've settled that, but we moved into the railroad. And they're just notorious for being very difficult. And that's why you don't see in progress the construction of the Edwardsville Trail that connects all the way around, is because of the railroad. The first signing and review of documents after that takes 6 months. And then another 4 months for a review after it's all executed, for the final execution from the railroad. And KDOT knows this. They're frustrated. Everybody's frustrated with the whole thing. We don't have the Edwardsville Trail, which should have already been built, folks. This thing has been hanging around since quite a while. So that's really the biggest news I have is on that piece. I did mention 98 Phase 3. I think that's exciting news. We barely missed the cut line, the funding line previous. The only two feedback pieces that we received was they wanted more narrative related to technology interaction. And so it's a road. So some language out there that it wasn't really a downgrade. It was just simply a comment that this is one of the criteria you should meet in some way, discussion area and the narrative. And so, but we scored excellently. We should get some funding. And if that's funded, you're looking at the 3-year period. So I say stay the course in that service piece that we have in our bond funds as part of our street maintenance. So that north of K32 is Phase 3, and that goes up to that new Groves. So north, if you take south to north, that we need to put some funds in there, a couple $100,000 just for the service, because you got another 3 years of that. Between now and probably spring, just depends on when we can get the bid for all this street work that we're doing as a kind of a package and what order they want to do it in. And that will give you an idea of how it sets in the next several months, but before you commit every bit of $3 to $4 million. So you have that, you may get different guidance as you go forward, but that right now, looking at it, the service-wise, that needs attention, and that's why it's in this first bonding tier. Tier number 2, that's our big projects. Tier number 1 is our touch a neighborhood projects, right? These are tangible things that say, I can see my tax dollars at work. So in the neighborhoods, resurfacing, fixing potholes, doing that. So we have tier 1 and tier 2 in this bond project, and we're going out for bids fairly soon and hoping to let some of them fairly soon and get started. And so you'll see that work go through the rest of this year into next year, and then you can decide how to progress from there. That's what we're doing right now. So those are kind of the big things that are happening. And of course, if you haven't been on Richland, 106 widened out really, really nicely. That's a really good, they're gonna, I think, finish up some ditching so that water drains a little better. But there's the cap is still not on, I believe, as of today on Richland. So if you saw some cooling water, there was a complaint, hey, this road is finished and it's got cooling water. No, the cap is not on it. They put the cap on and that'll push that water into those drains. So they'll be smoothing that out. So that's going really well, on time, on budget. They did a really nice job. We will save a little bit of money. We should, because our PEC is doing the inspection. And so if they end early, there's not this billing that may not happen. So, right, so they don't have another 3 months of billing because they have really hustled and got that done. You might be curious about 104th Street. We made plenty of announcements about it. There will be some road closures, but there's not a house you can't get to. One way or the other, you can get to the houses. And that is, B.F. Anderson is also doing that. That's a company on Richland. They're doing it for a price that was bid. That is higher. However, that's why we have the surety bond. They're paying the difference. So we'll get it completed and hopefully September, October. So we're moving right along. And it won't interfere with school buses and that sort of thing. By then, they'll be far along enough so that they didn't have to close the road. and things like that. That's what I have. And
Perfect.
oh, by the way, this is my last meeting, and I appreciate everyone. I had already planned to be gone. Juneteenth is a holiday, 19th, and the 22nd is our next meeting, but that's my last day, so I won't be here. But I wish everybody the best of luck, and I appreciate all the time I've spent here in Edwardsville, a lot of personal and professional investment, and I just really appreciated it. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep.
Councilman Mullen.
Thank you for everything
Appreciate it.
and happy retirement.
Thank you. I know you're looking forward to it.
Yes, yes.
Councilman Everhart.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Councilman Mawat.
Just a few things. I wouldn't be able to end without coming up with
Come
something.
on.
Can we look at sealing the walking trail at the park? We're gonna lose it if we don't get it sealed.
Yeah, Mr. Gerber and I have spoken with Brian in some of our meetings and trying to put that on a rotation of some sort and where we're going to fund it from. That's another thing. That's and what year we're going to do it. Either
Well,
there is something about sealing some of those surfaces as you get later in the year. It's not very wise.
Yeah.
So it may be this is early spring next year. And if we're going to do it, it should be a budgeted item.
Well,
How expensive that is.
it needs to be considered, I think.
Okay.
So the other thing is, could you have them do something about killing the grass and the medians on the silent crossings? The brickwork, there's all the weeds growing up in it. We're gonna lose that too if they don't go by and spray them or something. That's ours, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
not the railroad's.
Yes.
But when you drive by there, it looks pretty bad. I think we're gonna have an entry down there to a new facility. We might as well have that look nice too. The other thing is, on Mr. Johnson, if you wouldn't mind maybe having Brian or somebody go up and take a look at that drainage stuff up on Edge Hill up in there, because I know there's been frequent complaints on that. But from 104th, 102nd, the first one in. Yeah, and then where that drainage comes down through, and I know there's an issue with that. So I think last year he put some rock in there or something, kind of helped it, but maybe if you could have Public Works go take a look at that, try to satisfy some of
And
that.
they have been out there. They are investigating the best approach. Maybe some engineering involved.
Yeah, I think, yeah, well, we're gonna lose stuff downstream if we don't take care of it. And, I'll see you before you go, but retirement, people ask me about retirement and I say, I recommend it.
And today still you recommend?
I still recommend
Okay,
it.
good.
So, thank you for your service to
Appreciate it.
Edwardsville.
Thank you very much.
Councilman Shriver.
Yes. There's a home on Edwardsville Drive on the west side, right across from Williamson Farms. It's the last house going north that the grass was, maybe 3 feet high. Did our city have to cut that or did the homeowner cut that?
I don't know how that's been trending. Do we have any idea?
It's been a probably the last couple of years.
I don't know, meaning if we have been the ones mowed, somebody has mowed it at some points, apparently.
Okay.
Address, but I know which one you're talking about.
And that goes with the corner lot at 4th and K32, the northeast lot, our fireworks stand spot. Does anybody, how tall do we let the grass get till we have the owners cut it?
It's 10 to 12 inches, somewhere in there.
Well, it's pretty high.
Yeah, we
Okay.
typically reach out, again, conversation.
Right.
To get some compliance.
It's just right there, slap right in the middle of our city.
When
Just,
it comes to grass, we can give one notice, and then we can cut it there afterwards, right? We don't have to continue with notices. And we have done that in the past with that particular lot and the one on the other side of the street. So we know who to contact, and I'll make sure we'll follow up with the code enforcement.
So did anybody buy the pickup truck that was sitting there for sale? For a
I don't
couple of
know,
weeks?
if they could see it behind the grass. I don't know.
That's a good used car lot.
I'm sorry, the fireworks stand has asked the owner of the property to mow the grass so that they can start setting up here in a couple weeks for the fireworks.
That sounds like a good.
But code enforcement has also been involved, so it doesn't have to. We'll be-
Right. And I'm sure they take care of that. It's all the homeowners and businesses are expected to have their grass cut and those few lots that we see. Commissioner Kump, thank you for coming to our meeting. Thank you for being our voice here in Edwardsville, down in Unified Government meetings, which we appreciate that. Oh, appreciate all the citizens that come to our meetings. And Mark, appreciate, I'm sorry, I don't know where I was tracking. I didn't realize this was your last meeting, so. You don't, I mean, maybe just pop in on the 22nd? I'm kidding. No, I know, I'm kidding.
Traveling back. maybe.
Right, no, that's just a joke. Thank you so much. Years and years, 20, how many years?
So a little, slight less than 20, but I'm retirement wise, I get the full 20.
Good for you, good for you,
After June 21st.
good for you. Thank you. You've done a lot of good things. Like you said, your heart and soul here in Edwardsville, and we appreciate every bit of it. So thank you so much. So I have.
Councilman Adcox?
Thank you, Mark.
Happy retirement.
Yeah.
Okay, I will keep it short and get out of here as close to 7:30 as we can. Thank you to Commissioner Kump for coming across town and giving us an update and taking the heat. Councilman Malata already talked about the drainage. I know Brian's already looking into it, and so I'm assuming we'll hear back from staff on that soon. We talked about the fire department a little bit tonight and the new construction there that reminded me of the flooding that happened that kind of kick-started our project, and wanted to make sure that if any of our fire department members lost any personal gear, that we're making sure to take care of them if that should have come up. So,
No, I think it was all city-owned property.
okay,
And it's all been filed, everything's in progress.
perfect. Okay, thank you for your service to our city. I don't know, hopefully staff's planning a retirement thank you luncheon or something that we'll hear about in the near future, but 20 years to our community is quite a feat. And somebody just reminded me the other day of when you came into our police department, it was not anything like it is now. And so the department that you were able to hand the reins over to our current chief was not at all what you inherited. And not many people can say they've served as a police chief, a fire chief, and a city manager. And so the trifecta there has not many people can wear all those hats. Coming into our budget and turning it to what it was in multiple scenarios, that you've been a great asset to our community. And so thank you for your service to this community. It's much appreciated. Retirement's well deserved, and hopefully that's restful to you. On that,
Thank you very much.
we'll call it. Have a good night.
Yeah.